What's going on, everybody? It's Ryan from RLS ASMR. So today I am doing a steak and rice mukbang. I know, shocker. I actually haven't done one of these in a while. But today I'm just going to be talking about one of my good friends and good viewers and regular commenter, channel member, Spencer. Shout out to you. He recommended I watch Hereditary, and it was, that was a few weeks ago, I think. But yeah, so I finally watched it like today, and I don't know if I'm gonna post this video today or tomorrow, but whatever. I will go ahead and let you guys know. Also, while beginning of the video, just gotta let you know, I do have a Discord in the description. Make sure that you read the rules. It is 18 plus and up. Or 18 plus and up. That's what 18 plus means. But yeah, just no minors. But yeah, other than that, just make sure you read the rules when you join. But yeah, so let's go ahead and watch. Let's talk about watch. My brain isn't functioning. Talk about Hereditary. So, I believe it was my 2 and 2 video, and either I can't remember if I asked for movie recommendations, or I always ask for recommendations when I talk about stuff. But I think it was that video that Spencer said, oh yeah, you should watch Hereditary, and so I put it on my list, and I finally got to it. But okay, so it's like a psychological thriller. I wouldn't really call it a horror movie. If it's classified as one, they're lying to you. What Hereditary is about. So it's this family where the mom's mother, so the grandmother to the kids, just recently passed away. And so the opening kind of speech is or the scene is like everyone getting ready for getting mad at the kids because they gotta get in the car and go to the funeral, or is it the funeral? It's like the wake. It's when you give the speech and you can see them, the part of the funeral where you can see them before they're buried, and everyone's giving their speeches about their life, that kind of thing. And apparently the grandmother was a private person. The mother was estranged from the mother of the film was estranged from the grandmother, her mom, because they didn't get along or whatever. And yeah, so it's kind of like that sets up the film. Apparently, the mom has a job where she sets up scenes and concepts. I don't know if she's an architect or if it's an art thing, but they call it the something archery is the company she's working for at the time, and they have a 6.5 month deadline for her to finish these things and whatever. I don't really understand what that job is called, but if you know the inside of a Barbie dream house, she makes that, but for different types of scenes and stuff. I don't know how to describe what that's like. But the 16-year-old, she has a young kid and a 16-year-old and a husband. 16-year-old is he's your average Falling in Reverse listener from the early 2000s, if you remember, if you know what I'm talking about. He listens to Pierce the Veil, or he's an emo 16-year-old kid. Listens to Fall Out Boy, that kind of thing. I'm just trying to describe what he looks like. Now, they make a really big point She doesn't like sleeping in her room. They have a treehouse outside, and she sleeps in the treehouse. And you find out at some point, the grandmother that died had her own room in their house. She was living with them for a certain amount of years, but just never talked to her daughter, apparently the mother in the film, because they were getting into a lot of fights and it wasn't good for the home environment or whatever. But now, because of this, the mom goes to a kind of like one of those, what are they called? They're called like group something. Anyways, like, you know, there's like, support groups. So she goes to like a grief support group and starts like trauma dumping about her mom. That's where you find out about like her mom apparently got DID and dementia, dissociative identity disorder, that apparently got worse. And apparently her mom grew up, and when her mom was growing up, a bunch of her family died. So in other words, the mother of the film, her uncle, her grandfather, and her grandmother, like, they all died basically because of they all like committed suicide in different various ways, or they all died from, it seems very strange. And then, you know, because she was describing like, well, my mom didn't grow up really well either. I hope I'm explaining this alright. So you get that lore dump. Oh, but I didn't finish explaining about why the kid was weird. So in the beginning of the film, yeah, she likes to sleep in the treehouse. And aside from sleeping in the treehouse, you see her throughout the film doing a bunch of weird stuff. Like, she cuts off the head of a pigeon that slams into the window. So there's a pigeon. When they're in her classroom, she's playing with some kind of doll, but it's like a doll that she made of other stuff. So she's like messing with it instead of taking a quiz. And she's like really quirky at that kind of stuff. She wanders outside of the house and without any shoes on, and her mom gets mad at her. And she herself seems very dissociative in the sense that she isn't really like that aware of her surroundings. She's not like taking into account the normal the social norms that everyone else does. So when I retroactively look at the film, I'm thinking, oh, okay, that's like a good connection link there. But she goes outside after the quiz is over, chops the pigeon's head off. The dead pigeon that's like lying in the bush, she chops the head off. So they're making like a really big point about this kid being weird. Now, like I said, the 16-year-old average stoner from the early 2000s. He smokes weed. He wants to go to a party. So he lies to his mom about going to like a school function. And she knows he's lying to her. And he goes, well, hey, if you're going to go to like a school barbecue, bring your little sister. Ask her if she wants to go. So then that way, like, you know, she wants to ensure that he doesn't drink. Essentially, that he's not pressured to, like, you know, that there's a pressure to get her home and for him to be safe at the party. That's the reason she wants to do that. The problem with that, though, is the daughter's like, well, I don't want to go. Well, the mom forces her to. This is when this movie actually starts. In the earlier scene in the film, she's eating chocolate and she's looking at her dead grandmother who's in the casket, like the open casket. And she takes a bite out of the chocolate and her dad walks up to her and he's like, hey, should you be eating that? The the mom walks over and says it's okay as long as it doesn't have nuts in it, which that's never really explained, but well, it's explained that she has like like that's the explanation of her having a nut allergy. But then later in the movie when she's at the theater, or not the theater, I'm sorry, at the party. Later in the movie, when she's at the party with her brother, he's like obsessed with one of this girl in his class. The beginning scene that you are introduced to him is like he's sitting behind her in class and he's like staring at her butt on the seat. And that's what he's like, that's the introduction to him. So he likes this girl, but he doesn't really know how to talk to her. But he asked her if she smokes weed, and they're like, yeah. So they go to this room, but he can't leave his sister alone. So he says, oh, go get some chocolate cake. They're handing out chocolate cake. Go stand by there and get you some, and I'll be back out in a few minutes. Just entertain yourself with some chocolate cake or something, because bro's like, I'm trying to get some pussy. I don't know. Not really, but he's like trying to get in with that girl, hang out and be cool and all that. So he goes in. She starts eating the cake. Midway through, I'm smoking the bowl with the girl, and there's a couple other guys in the room. His sister comes in and is like, hey, it's getting harder to breathe. It feels like my throat's closing up. And he's like, oh shit, she's having an allergic reaction. I gotta get her to the hospital. So he's driving her to the hospital, right? And there, as he's driving her to the hospital, she's in her seatbelt on. She's in the back seat, gasping for air. And so she rolls the window down. As she's rolling the window down, she sticks her head out the window to get some air. I remember doing that as a kid, but this scene will make me never do that again. So he's driving, and there's a dead deer in the road. He swerves to not hit the deer, and then there's a telephone pole or like some kind of giant wooden pole on the right side, and the daughter, his sister was heading out the window, so she gets decapitated. And he basically slows down. There's a really dramatic scene where he sees what happens, and he saw what happened in the back seat. He starts crying, and then he slowly drives off. He's super in shock. He doesn't know how to feel about it. He gets home, and then he goes straight to sleep. And then the next morning, the mom, and while he's going to bed, she's like, oh, thank God they're home. She hears him come in and thinks, oh my God, it's so late. I'm glad they're home. Well, she in the morning makes breakfast for the family or something, or for her husband, and says, oh, I'm gonna go to the store and get something. Do you need anything? So then she goes out to the car and sees the bloody mess that's in the back seat. Loses her mind. And so that causes a huge rift. She's had 2 funerals in a week. Well, actually, she had the funeral, and I guess a couple months went by and that happened. But, oh, by the way, side note, when she's been going to these grief meetings, she's been telling her husband that she's going to the movies because for some reason she's embarrassed about talking to him about going to the grief meetings, which is important for later. So she goes back to this grief meeting, the support group, and says, hey, or no, that's not what happens. She goes, pulls out, realizes she can't go inside, turns around, starts to pull off. But then there's this woman who stops her and says, hey, I'm so she pulls over and says, hey, I recognize you from when you came a few months ago, or how are you doing with your mom's death? And the entire time, the mom is making excuses to leave because she doesn't want to deal with like interaction. But then they get into this conversation about how the lady lost her grandson, and I think her son or something. And so and so she's like, they're both going through a similar thing. And that calms her down. She gets her number. And throughout the entire movie, there's these scenes of her, like, not the entire movie, but for the first hour of her doing the scene, right? She's having to grapple with guilt while she's, like, painting all these different scenes for this company she's working for. And by the way, I don't know what the dad does. It's not important to the story. He just always has a suit on and he's British for some reason. But basically, so she goes back to home, sees she spills over paint of some sort. Oh, I skipped over another detail. This is really important. I'm really bad at movie reviews, guys. I'm sorry. So, when she went oh no, I didn't skip over any detail. This is the detail I was about to explain. So, she basically knocks over, when she's working on one of those art things, she knocks over some paint, and then she realizes, well, I can't really keep looking at this stuff. I need to go and talk to that lady, whose name is like Joan or whatever. And so she goes to talk to that lady, and they have tea, and she explains, and there's another Lorda. Basically, she has a sleepwalking episode. She claims she hasn't done it for years, and she wants, when the younger daughter, the one that died, and the emo boy, when they shared a room, she once slept walk, doused them in paint thinner, and lit a match, but woke up right before she was about to light them all on fire. It's because, that we get that lore done, because obviously the emo boy feels terrible that he even put his sister in danger, let alone as the result, he feels like he killed her. Not only is that happening, they can't even talk about it because she basically almost tried to kill them once. And claims to have done it in her sleep. Now, this is kind of where the whole Hereditary in the movie and all that comes in, I assume. But I'm going to kind of skip over a few parts because this video is getting a little long. Well, it's not a little long, but I'm almost out of food. So, basically, I'm going to leave a few details out. But there's a lot of stuff that happens that's like them fighting. They find a dead body in the attic because the main husband, he gets an email that someone dug the grave up, and that insurance is going to be paying for that or something like that. So basically, this mom has been doing crazy shit in her sleep, and because her sleep, she also has DID, and her sleepwalk personality is working with the grandmother. So like, the grandmother, there's this note that's left for Annie, which is the name of the mom, and it's Annie, all of our work is going to finally make sense and you're going to be rewarded. Love, Mom. And you're thinking to yourself, what the fuck? Because, like, what reward? That's like in the beginning of the film. Well, basically, apparently the grandmother and the mom both have this like DID personality where they're trying to bring about summoning this, like, one of the 6 lords of hell or something. His name's like King Paimon. And the problem with Paimon is he needs to be summoned into a male host because he's a male. The issue with that is they accidentally, or he was incarnated into Charlie. So that's why Charlie died. But like, you find out that Joan was casting some kind of spells on Peter, which is the emo boy's name. And the whole point of it, at the whole end of the movie, is just because they want to reincarnate. They're using, it's a hereditary thing where I guess it's either it has to be in a male host along that bloodline, or the DID, the split personality, to get that done. Working with the cult and all that kind of stuff. That is Hereditary. I was thinking about watching an explanation video. I'm sure Spencer's gonna comment on this video, and he's gonna let me know exactly what the plot or the reasoning is. But it just seems to me that, like, now that's like the basic plot of the movie. Beginning, middle, end, whatever, right? Here's my thoughts on it. It's not really that scary. It's not really that creepy. They have some really creepy moments. Like people hiding in the corner in the dark, and it's dark in the corner. Things moving in the background. Standard horror movie stuff, but it's not like really scary. In fact, I think it's meant to be more funny. Because there's this part in the movie where, so early on in the movie, this is my favorite part of the movie, by the way. There's an early part on in the movie where, before Charlie dies, which is the name of the daughter, you know, the girl who got her head decapitated, she always made this noise. And she randomly made it. It was like a thing that she did. It was like a very, like, non sequitur type of thing in the beginning. But after she dies, Peter, which is the older brother, hears it in his sleep, and he's like, oh. and it's like, and the entire time all I'm thinking is, protect the queen. That's all I'm thinking of. And those of you that get it, those of you that get it, you laughed with me. But if you don't get it, look up Uganda Knuckles on YouTube, and that's all I was thinking every time I heard in the film. It's meant to be eerie and like really creepy and disturbing, but I laughed my ass off. And with those kinds of movies, I tend to do that if it's a really funny moment. And I think the directors make it funny because, like, if you're disturbed by something for too long, you may not like it, so they make certain things funny. That the Hereditary isn't really that disturbing of a film. There's a cult that wanted to bring about they wanted to summon a demon, and the way they did that was through crazy women, and the crazy women birthed a man so that the man could get reincarnated as like one of the 6 demons from hell. It's not that disturbing. It's not like a crazy eerie concept that I'm going to be thinking and ruminating on for weeks. That I'm gonna like really be freaked out by, because there's nothing psychologically like really fucked up about it. But maybe when it gets dark tonight, I'll see that little girl and I'll be like, oh, you know, maybe, I don't know. I doubt it, but it's just things like that aren't that creepy to me. The Babadook was way more creepy than, and also, I didn't watch it in the middle of the night. I watched it when there's daylight out, so that might be a reason. But if it was the middle of the night, I don't think I would have gotten super creeped out. But like jump scares and music, that's gonna scare me anyway. That's not gonna make me disturbed. It's gonna jolt me, but that's not gonna like scare me. And like effectively everything that I remember from every scary movie that I've watched, everything that's toyed with my brain has never been the like jump scares or things like that. It's always the concepts, the things that are super creepy, that if you ruminate and think about it a little bit more, it becomes a really, really crazy concept in your head, and it freaks you out and you see those images because it becomes real to you. If it's too fantastical, it's not that scary to me. But now I'm probably gonna get some recommendations. Of people being like, yeah, obviously, if that wasn't that scary, then watch this. Hey, lay it on me. I may watch it, I may not. But you know, if you bug me about it enough, I may or I may not. Who knows? I'll be the final decider on that. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Being a subscriber of mine, like and comment. Get me boosted up on that algorithm. If you guys don't mind, and yeah, so I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for your support. I'll see you guys later.